Hello, my name is Jonas Bals. I am a house painter by trade, but the last 3.5 years I have been working as an advisor in the Norwegian LO. An important part of the Norwegian model is the tripartite forms of cooperation, where the trade union movement, the employers' organizations, and the government negotiate and cooperate. Just as important, perhaps more important, is the daily two-party collaboration that takes place in the workplace between the workers and the employers. The companies are owned and managed by the employers. For us who are workers, for us in the unions, our starting point is still this. Yes, it is the employer's company, but it is our workplace. We spend large parts of our lives there. We use our labor and creativity there, and we invest a lot of ourselves in the workplace. Many of us also wear down our bodies while working. Therefore, we also want to have a say about the decisions that are made in the workplace. We want and we demand to be listened to and to be part of the decisions before they are made. In this, of course, there are many potential conflicts. Sometimes there is also a struggle over these disagreements, but often it can also be resolved through cooperation. Achieving this cooperation requires mutual respect and a basic agreement on what our rights and what our duties are. Much of this can be written down in agreements, and an agreement is often the first important step on the road to good cooperation. In the collective agreement, you agree on the basic rules, and you agree on what to do when you disagree. In Norway, we have also created different types of institutions and arenas where both the employers and the unions can get assistance to interpret and resolve these disagreements. Some of them are very formal, like the labor courts. Others are more informal, where one tries to talk through the disagreements and reach a common understanding without the interference of the courts. We don't want a system where everything is solved by lawyers and court cases and verdicts. We think this will undermine the trust which is needed in order to reach agreements. However, it is also important to stress that this is a system with quite clear obligations and rights, regulated in written agreements and sometimes also quite strict rule books. For the workers, this is very important because it means that the boss is no longer allowed to do as they please. There are limits to their power. To make sure that this is not a paper tiger, an empty provision without real content, it is important that the workers are organized and can stand together and, if necessary, back up their demands with a threat to withdraw their labor power and go out on strike. In such a situation, when you have achieved, or at least partly achieved, a balance of power between the employees and the boss, and with written agreements that defend this balance of power, then you can start to build real mutual trust. Trust is far easier to destroy than to create. To create a climate of trust, some basic foundations need to be in place. The collective agreement, the unions, but also the membership democracy. The workers must control their own unions and feel that they have a voice and a real co-determination. So, all these ingredients are essential, but they are only the foundation. And a foundation is not enough. On this foundation, you can build a house, and that house doesn't consist of structure alone, but also of culture. Then, how can you build a culture of trust and cooperation? I think you can only achieve it through trial and error. What you will experience when you try is that you can solve problems in new ways. The workers can lower their guards, so to speak, and both sides can meet each other with less suspicion. You can talk to each other and agree on things without suspecting each other of breaking the agreement as soon as the meeting is over. Personally, I have met quite many employers that have resisted when the workers have organized or when they have demanded a collective agreement. But once the collective agreement is in place, their skepticism tends to evaporate. They experience that many conflicts that used to lead to unrest and dissatisfaction are cleared from the table before they grow big and painful. They experience first-hand how dialogue can replace conflict, and that they get a better access to the information they need in order to develop the company and make it more efficient. The reason, I think, is obvious. When the employees, when the workers have a right to participation and co-determination, they also dare to report about the things that doesn't work. They dare to criticize. And criticism and free speech is a precondition for progress. For the management, for those who run the companies, such things might be highly unfamiliar, and many must be taught how to love it. But once they do, they tend to have a great advantage. They get access to true information from the women and men who do the actual work that creates their profits. And they get suggestions for improvements rather than bitter silence and sabotage. For us, the workers, the unions, the gain is even more obvious. When we get respect and a collective say in how things are run, we can also get a wage that we can live from and a working life to live with. Thank you so much for having this opportunity to talk to you.